Good morning, everyone. My name is Jay Tonsger, and I am the marketing coordinator for resortsandlodges.com and Track Hospitality Software. Today, we have a great presentation in store for everyone from Doug Kennedy of the Kennedy Training Network. Here are some quick reminders. Mute your phone if you're hearing feedback. The webinar is being recorded and will be shared online within 24 hours of the broadcast. And if we have time, questions will be taken at the end of the webinar. Resortsandlodges.com is one of the leading travel websites for independent properties and hospitality companies. Resortsandlodges.com also offers digital marketing solutions, including pay-per-click, search engine optimization, website development, and email marketing. Track Hospitality Software, which includes Track Pulse and Track PM, is our all-in-one guest communication cloud for hospitality properties. Doug has been a regular contributor to the hotel and lodging industry's most prominent publication since 1996. And we're excited for him to be able to share more than 2 decades of industry experience with all of you. Today's webinar will be focused on why you should be listening to what your voice agents are saying to real callers. So without further ado, here is Doug Kennedy.
Thank you very much, Jay, and welcome to everyone in webcast land. We have nearly 100 locations logged in for this webinar that have signed up, and I hope to bring value to you. I should be pretty warmed up. I just got back last night from San Antonio, where I spoke at the conference for call centers. It's called the International Association of Reservation Executives. We talked largely about this same topic, which is kind of ironic because the dates were really set well in advance separately. So I hope to bring value to you, whether you're from an individual hotel, a rental company, a resort, perhaps a brand, or maybe even a call center. Hopefully we're all dialed into the concept of why we should be listening as often as possible to what callers are saying. Yesterday, I want to put in a plug for them. If you are a call center, if you have, let's say, probably 5 or more agents, you really are a call center or a customer contact center, I would check out their association. It was a great networking opportunity to talk to others about benchmarking and all the challenges that you have unique to phones. But the one slide that, the one concept we talked about is voice is still here. A lot of people thought the tombstone was written, carved out, rest in peace telephones, and they thought really by this era, nobody is ever gonna call. If you went back in time yesterday, I should have done it with you. I flashed a picture of the famous time machine from the Back to the Future, the car. And so, I said, if we could go back in time to the year 2000 or the year 1995 or even the year 2005, if we could get one of those Back to the Future time machines really working, and we could take our iPhone or our tablet, okay, and if we could have the internet work on that iPhone or tablet, go back and show people that are marketing, revenue, distribution folks in the hotel space, show them all the information available today to callers prior to dialing. The touch of a fingertip, a couple of clicks, a couple of taps on a laptop keyboard. There's more information than ever before, and yet they're still calling. So I want to first address some of the myths today with what's happening with voice. And I also want to encourage you, my theme again is the title of this webinar, you really should be listening to what callers are saying. Now, for those of you who don't know, I know Jay covered a little bit about this, but Resorts and Lodges, which is a distribution platform to get you new leads, that's a really great program, great option for finding a new guest and bringing them back to your website to book, is the sponsor. And of course, Resorts and Lodges, the parent company, a Track Pulse, which is a call and lead tracking tool that provides recording. So every other month, I do a webinar for Track clients, which many of you are on the line today. But twice a year, Resorts and Lodges opens up to the entire industry. So I think we have about 25% of our people in webcast land are new to this. So I wanted to explain a little bit about that, because if you have Track, you're already listening to calls. If you do not have Track, I'm going to share with you at the end some ways to get in the game of listening, because that's really what we're going to come back to, is why you should be listening, okay, to calls, because today what's happening on the phone is still very important. So let's first address some myths that cause people to believe that voice reservations is a dying distribution channel, and too many people believe these myths. Now, I give you an example. I love revenue management. I'm a huge fan of HSMAI. I actually helped found the HSMAI Revenue Optimization Conference. I was, for the first 3 years of the revenue group, I was the advisor as part of HSMAI. I joined them temporarily and as a little, side gig to help them start that. So I love that association. But the last time I attended, I actually heard one of the presenters in a breakout session, who was a high-ranking revenue manager of a major brand, said, "Remember phone calls? Remember when people used to call?" And I knew that he was a little bit out of touch with what's happening on the phone. Because today, people still call. Now, depending on where you work and what type of hotel and what type of environment, you may get more calls, you may get less calls. So we're going to address both of those, but both of those scenarios. But voice is still very important, okay? Too many people believe this myth right here. Millennials, they don't like to talk on the phone, okay? I probably have a lot of millennials on this call today, but I believe that, these stereotypes of millennials and Gen Xers and baby boomers are overused. This is originally just a psychographic that a couple of social scientists came up with when they named my generation baby boomers. Okay, by the way, I'm at the tail end of that, but I am part of the baby boom generation. And then those same two gentlemen, over time, named the Gen Xers and the millennials. Excuse me. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you. Well, I've just been informed that it might be a good idea to, I just have the webcam on? Yeah, that's all. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I was sharing the webcam. Too many people believe that the millennials, which is a psychographic invented by these two researchers, had that everybody born in those age groups, Gen X, millennial, baby boomer, is all the same, and we know that's not true. Okay. But it is interesting to talk about, and sometimes I address it in my classes as well, in my conference presentations. But one belief about millennials is that you hate to talk on the phone. Now, I have 6 nieces and nephews. I have 2 kids, and by the way, they're the next generation after millennials, which those same 2 guys are now calling the I generation, or the Generation Z. But I have a lot of millennial nieces and nephews. My oldest nephew is, my oldest of the whole group is Richard. He was born as the very first generation of the so-called millennials. And I was out in Colorado where he lives, and I was presenting at a conference with a similar topic, and I had lunch with him, and he was asking me what I was talking about, and I told him, and I said, yeah, we hear people like you, your age, never wants to talk on the phone. Now, Richard is, he's a very outdoorsy type guy. He loves to go skiing in the winter in Colorado. They go whitewater rafting in the summer. He's a certified diver. So he goes with a lot of groups, and I say, you do all the planning, right? It's like, yeah. I usually book the rooms. And I'm like, well, how do you do it? It's like, well, I usually end up doing it online or by chat. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess you're the stereotype. He said, well, you know why we don't call, Uncle Doug? It's because nobody ever picks up, and when they do pick up, they don't know any answers. We don't mind talking. We just want somebody who knows the answers. So I think today, millennial myth, as far as voice calls, millennials still call. I work with many different hotel chains. One of our clients we're very excited to have, maybe you're on the line today, is SBE Hotels, which has the SLS brand and several other independent boutique brands, Red Berry, some others. And in South Beach, Miami, the SLS is probably one of the hottest, most happening hotel brands there. And probably, I don't know, I would say most of their clients are millennial age. I like to go there and act like I'm a millennial sometimes. And a lot of people my age do that too. So they have guests of all ages. But the majority are, they're probably late 20s, 30s. And however, about a third of their business still comes from voice, okay? The other myth is the only people who still call, they're elderly and they don't know how to use a computer, okay? Well, we know that's a myth. First of all, a lot of elderly people of all ages call, and you know that if you listen to calls. But secondly, a lot of elderly people are very good with computers, okay? I got to give a shout out to my Aunt Tita. My aunt, I think, is 83 this month, if I recall correctly. And let me tell you, this woman is techno savvy. She was all over Facebook when it came out. My aunt tweets. My aunt is on Instagram. My aunt is on Snap. I'm not even on Snap, okay? But, you know, a lot of, and by the way, she will check online and then she will call you. She will do both, like a lot of people. So let's not buy into these myths. If you listen to real calls, then you know what is really happening on the phone, okay? And to find that proverbial deeper dive, that seems the lexicon today, everyone says, the deeper dive rather than just reading numbers on a report, okay? And so if you do that, then if you listen to real calls and find out what's going on, then you'll know what real callers are asking, all right? So I'm gonna share with you. Now we have, we do a lot of different training at KTN. We provide hospitality training. We provide hotel sales department training. And by the way, a lot is changing in that space. But a good portion of our business is reservations training. We have our Quest program and we have advanced training. We also do telephone mystery shopping. But many of our clients have Track. And if you have Track, you can record all the calls. When we go out to train clients that have Track, we listen to real calls from real clients. Also call centers that have recording tools. So I'm privileged to hear what's happening on the other side of the phone line quite frequently. So those of you who are taking calls that are on the call today, I know we have a lot of leaders, we have executives, we have GMs, marketing, revenue. We also have frontline reservations takers, all right? And so I bet you're gonna relate to these questions. Has this woman called you recently, frontline reservations sales agents? She's the one who says, hello, where are you? And part of you is like, well, actually, I'm at work. Where are you? But she really wants to know that you know what you're talking about. Now, a lot of times she will say, are you on site? Are you in-house? Are you at the hotel? So, of course, we want to sound like we are in-house, we are on site, we are at the hotel, all right? And because she wants somebody who knows. And if you say yes, she will say, oh, good. Now, by the way, you might be at a call center. Sometimes I have call centers that take calls for several hotels in a region, and a lot of them are like, well, we're actually in a different building if you're at a contact center. But and if you're at a call center, you can say, well, actually, I'm not at the hotel, but I sell directly into the hotel's reservation system, and I am at a different location. How can I help you? What she really wants to know, and she doesn't want to say this, she wants to know, hey, are you qualified to answer my questions? Do you know what you're talking about? All right, but instead she's being polite. She says, where are you? Now, this call here depicts the type of caller who has already shopped online, okay? And these callers already know the price. But I'm sorry, this caller here has looked online at your website, but she has a question, all right? I'm online right now and I have a question. Sometimes they will ask you questions about the photos. Sometimes they will say, and I bet you've got this one, reservation takers, does it really look like it looks in the picture? Okay, because people are suspicious. And you can go, a lot of times I'll go to destinations. Last week I was in St. Lucia and we pulled up a list of property of other resorts there. Week before, you know, a different location. Every week is a different location. And you look on the surface. Now, the hotel I was training last week was a 5-star resort in St. Lucia, and we pulled up the other resorts. Some of them were 3 stars, but on the surface, the pictures look just as good, okay, because people do play games with pictures, and those photographers are really good at finding just the right shot. So on the surface, your hotel looks like a lot of others. On the surface, your rental company's homes look like a lot of others. But we have to know how to explain what's on the website. Third reason people call, okay? I just read a review. Is this true? Okay. Now, I don't know how often we as leaders share those reviews. I know most of us read them. We get the little alerts when there's a new review posted. But we want to make sure our frontline people speaking to callers know that, because this caller here will actually tell you she's been online. But if the other caller, you know, he's been online, but he doesn't say that. He just says, hi, I went online. I have a question. Is there really seaweed at the beach this year? Because whoever got back, or let's say Florida West Coast. Hi, I have a question. How's the red tide? All right. because they saw online a recent review of the west coast of Florida that there was an issue. So we want to make sure. Now, this one is kind of funny. This guy or gal, and the picture, I guess I should have put some females. I think I have a female coming up. Yeah, I mean a male coming up in the next one. You get men and women, both genders, calling with these questions. This man or lady calls up and says, hello, I don't want to make a reservation. I just want to know the price. And, you know, a lot of us on the surface, if we haven't been trained, we think, oh, no, they just want to know a price. Some of you have tracking systems to code the call at the end. Some of you have the pull-down menu, which is a great feature of TrackPulse. Some of you are doing tick sheets where you mark it on a Excel sheet, Excel printout. Some of you are doing pull-down menus elsewhere in your property management systems. And a lot of people code this as, no, that's not a reservation inquiry. That's just an information question or a shopper, okay? So some people have an inquiry and then they have a shopper. What is the difference? Does this woman really just want to know what you charge? Are people so bored in the year 2018 they have nothing better to do with their time than to call up a bunch of hotels they're never going to stay at and get a price? I don't know about you, but I don't have time for that. Can you imagine the after dinner conversation? Hey, honey, what do you want to do tonight after dinner? Oh, I don't know. Why don't we watch some TV or, you know, let's watch a show on Netflix. No, let's call hotels and get prices. That's a great idea. Where do you want to call? They want to know the price because they want to stay there, okay? But the deal is that they're actually looking for rate shopping at an OTA. So they're looking at a rate online at Expedia, Booking.com, Hotwire. Well, Hotwire, they wouldn't know it's your hotel. But Expedia, Booking.com, Hotels.com, all right? They're looking at Google search now. The Google apps are bringing up rates, and they're comparing your price. And if all you do is give the price, she's going to hang up and click away and confirm that booking on a third party, and there goes revenue. So we're going to talk about that in a minute, all right? Now, here's an interesting one. I hadn't really thought about this until 2 or 3 weeks, about a month ago now. I was asked to do an interview by a digital marketing company called Tambourine. Okay, by the way, I think they're one of the best out there. They help people with email campaigns and website development. And so they had asked me to do in the article about what is the value of asking your frontline reservations team what kind of questions you get from people who are online. So marketing people with us today, distribution people with us today, you know, talk to the frontline reservations call takers, okay? For a large hotel, that's your reservations team. For a small property, maybe that's the front desk. But find out what questions you're getting, and let's make sure that information is at the website, or if it's already there, let's punch it up or display it in a new way. So these are all benefits then. If you listen to real calls, you will know what real callers are asking these days, but we can make adjustments as needed, all right? So what is really happening to call volume? A lot of marketing, distribution, and revenue folks do not listen to calls. Instead, they only read reports which they're receiving, all right? So what's really happening? For one, people notice call volume at most locations is dropping every single year, all right? Well, why is that? Is it really because less people are interested in booking online? Possibly it's because the basic travel information that's available out there is, the basic travel information is now available online. So I'll give you an example. Years ago, doesn't seem like that many years ago to me, but years ago when you booked a hotel room, you had to keep that number handy because you'd have to call back several times. All of a sudden, as the date gets closer, you think, oh, geez, how am I going to get to that hotel? I better call, give a call. Hey, do you have a shuttle? How much is taxi fare? Smart travelers knew that you always want to know what the taxi fare is so you don't get scammed when you get there, okay? When I was a young business traveler, that happened to me. You get in the taxi, hey, first time in the city? Yeah, first time. Take you a half an hour to get there, it costs you $75. The doorman says, welcome to the hotel. How's your trip in? Oh, it's a long drive. Really? It's usually only 10 minutes. But so people would call ahead and get the taxi fare. They would call ahead to get, you know, if you take pets and all that. Now that's online. Secondly, once we started getting third-party confirmations from wholesale tour operators, those of you who are in the leisure business that get a lot of third-party distribution partners like a wholesale travel company, we're pushing those confirmations out a lot faster. A lot of you are seamless now, meaning the reservation goes right into your system. You just kind of clean it up and check it in the queue, and then they get their confirmation. Whereas before, we had a fax machine spewing out booking requests that we'd have a stack to reply to, which we would get behind, and then people would call. All right. So smart hoteliers know that those online bookings, do they really just show up on their own? Do those online bookings just fly into your system from your website? Perhaps so. And you know, if you are part of a major brand, and particularly if you're in the mid-market focused, upper mid-market, I'm talking about a Courtyard Marriott, a Hilton Garden, a Sheraton Four Points, where you know it's a very consistent property and brand, and those types of properties tend to be more homogenous. So you know what you're getting, okay? You may not call for your routine travel. However, for the rest of us, and probably most of you who took time out today, you know there's an interplay between the voice and the online bookings, all right? So we know that especially at independent hotels that are either have independent name or a boutique brand like an SBE, SLS hotels, Viceroy hotels, others like that, or independent boutique hotels that have an independent name. Maybe you're part of Preferred Hotels, Leading Hotels, maybe you're part of Relais and Chateau. Vacation rental, a lot of calls. I think a lot of my clients get 60, 70, 80% of bookings still come through voice. Especially those that are selling beach houses, ski, mountain cabins, ski chalets, and of course, alternative lodging. So all-inclusives. A couple weeks ago, I was at Couples Resorts. We're going actually back to Jamaica next week to train another all-inclusive. I work with a lot that have alternative lodging with meal plans and whatnot. So these are the ones that get the most calls, and if you actually take time to take a look at the bookings that come in, you're going to find that they do start by calling, all right? So in summary, there is an interplay between voice and online, but the more emotionally invested the guest is, the more likely they are to call prior to or following booking online. So what do I mean by that? If you're just traveling on business, okay, so if you're flying out for one night, like last night I was in, the night before I was in San Antonio for a conference. Now, I was the speaker, I'm lucky, they booked my room. But if I'm attending a conference, I'm going for a sales call, or I'm going for the call on a client that's a courtesy call. I'm in hotels, I stay with my clients, but the rest of the world, you go on your phone, if you're whatever you're brand loyal to, you're going to book there, or you're Expedia or Booking.com loyal, and you go and book there, and that's it, right? But the more emotionally invested, so the longer the stay, the higher the rate, the more important the trip. So my wife Kathy and I went to Spain this summer. I had a lot more time I invested picking the hotels for that trip than I would have flying out to San Antonio to speak at a conference where I really just need a place to stay. So the more emotionally invested, okay, and also the more complicated the trip. When you throw in kids or pets or elderly who have, you know, ambulatory issues, they can't walk that far. When you put in the concept of food allergies and people have questions about culinary options. So smart hotelers know if we listen to calls, if we pay attention to voice, we're going to, first of all, have an impact because voice reservations can increase ADR. How do we do that? We can actually upsell to higher rated accommodations because we can talk them through the different options. I know when I do book on Expedia or Booking.com, I use both. You tend to migrate towards that first or second rate option, which is the standard room and maybe the standard room with breakfast, all right? And I see all those other ones, but you know, I kind of go for the basic one. But when you actually call and someone says, yeah, that room, that's a very nice room, I'm sure you're gonna find it comfortable, Mr. Kennedy. But you know, for only $50 more, you can enjoy, okay? When they tell me a little story about I can step out onto my balcony and see, or I'll have a private key access for my complimentary upscale continental breakfast, or that I can have a small meeting if I'm there on business in that concierge lounge, or I'm going to get the larger larger home in a ski mountain town that I can ski in and ski out, and I don't have to take the shuttle back home after a long day of skiing. Then I'm going to pay a little bit more for that location. It will also help us decrease OTA dependency. What that means is, you know, we love our OTA guests, but when they call us directly and we can book them directly, we want to make them our guests, all right? Because we don't want to be giving 10, 15, 20% to that online travel agent if we don't have to. We listen to calls, we coach our agents, we can get those directly. Also, it's going to improve satisfactions with the rooms or accommodations the guest actually books. How do you know that? Look at your TripAdvisor reviews or look at reviews elsewhere like Booking.com that are not necessarily from TripAdvisor. And if you read the 1- and 2-star reviews, you see a lot of them say they booked online through a third party, okay? I have a client in Boston. It's actually usually the #1 ranked hotel on TripAdvisor. It's an independent. They're very popular. They're on the Boston Harbor, and almost all their reviews are stellar. But of course, when I do the training, I read the 1-star reviews too. And a lot of them say, you know, I booked online. When I got there, I didn't have that harbor view. Well, the hotel is shaped in a rectangle, and the small side of the rectangle is the one facing the harbor. So only maybe 10, 15% of their rooms have that view. The person booked online, they probably saw the harbor view room further. They didn't see the harbor view room further down the list. They picked the cheap one, but they saw the picture that the hotel was on the water. They didn't think it through. If we talk to them, we can explain this, and we can upsell. We can say, is that room going to have a view of the harbor? Oh, actually, no, but you know, for $50 more, we have one that does. So we get higher rates, we decrease OTA commissions and dependency, we have a guest that's happier, okay? Now, smart hoteliers also know the telephone is an increasingly rare opportunity to have human connection with our guests. I love this picture here. This is actually a depiction of a very famous painting. Do you know which one it is? My art history students do. It actually is a depiction of probably the most famous painting in the entire world by Michelangelo. Hint, hint, he painted it on his back over several years. It's the Creation. It's at the Sistine Chapel. But this particular version here has the electronic hand reaching for the human hand. And that's what happens when someone shops electronically and they look online. And then they give a call to a human, okay? And they say, hello, where are you, on site? Yeah, sure am. Or no, I'm not actually on site, but I can assist you. What questions do you have for me? And we engage them, all right? And so that is a great opportunity to stand out so they will remember their experience with you. All right, so are you convinced? Well, if you have TrackPulse, you're already listening. But if you're all the others joining us today and you don't, a few tips. Right now, you probably have the ability to listen in on certain telephones. Usually that would be the manager's phone, the reservation manager, the front office manager. There's one phone in your telephone system already, at least, even if you have an old phone, okay, that allows you to listen in. How do I know? I was a reservation manager in the 1980s, all right? And our phone back then, my phone on my desk, allowed me to listen in. What I had to do was dial a code press the extension key, and I was hearing that conversation. Now, a lot of people may have that, you don't even know it. Now, this takes a little more time because you got to listen for stuff to happen on the phone, but put them on speaker, okay? Got plenty of emails to work on, I'm sure, and wait for the action to happen. Another option, we would love to do a free sample mystery shopping. So if you don't have TrackPulse and you want a good, easy way, send me an email at the end of this webinar, and we'll get you started. I will have our KTN team here. We have about 15 mystery shoppers. Right away, we'll send you some calls. Now, it won't be a real call, but we do our best to sound like a real caller. All right, and then you'll be able to hear. I want to finish up our webinar today as we move towards our last 15-minute segment, providing you with some training tips for those who do take the time to listen in to what real callers are saying, real agents are saying to real callers. So we'll cover asking the right questions. Don't just list, instead allure and entice. Online shoppers, find out where they're looking, okay? Top rates and the benefits of booking directly, and then engage those who may be already booked, especially at a third party, and try to, instead of just reconfirming, engage them in a conversation, all right? Now, if you've stuck with me this long and you are already a track client, hopefully these will be some good reminders. I do cover these routinely throughout the year with you, but I hope to bring value. So number one, and I think I talk about this on every webinar that I do for telephone selling, make sure we go beyond answering questions and instead ask questions. That's why I emphasize questions. The name of our training program is Quest. Again, at our website and our reservations training tab at the bottom are articles that I write about this subject. So if you're a manager that's looking for tips to share with your staff, go there and you'll see a lot of deeper dive into this content, all right? So rather than just answering questions, what we want to do is what I call unmasking the story. Familiar faces for my webinar regulars, we want to take them from here to here, all right? If we ask the right questions, we can give a more personalized call experience. Not only will we help close more sales, but we'll engage callers and we will have better first impressions, all right? We will rehumanize the caller, I call this. All right, so these are important. Hey, you've probably heard these before if you've been a manager here for a while or if you've been a reservation agent for a while. Actually been training these for 30 years. I'm in my 30th year of doing training. When I started out in my 20s doing training, you know, we got people to do the very basics. Have you stayed with us before? All right, and regardless of the answer, it helps you. If they're a repeat guest, they stay all the time, you save yourself a lot of time by telling them what they already know. Also, we want to know what brings you to the area, all right? Now, if you are a multi-purpose hotel or resort, you want to ask it like this. What I mean by multi-purpose, if you have leisure, social business, and group and conference business, this is a nice way to say, are you with a group or conference? All right, without saying, are you with a group or conference? If we say, what brings you to the city or town, or what brings you to Brand X Resort, they will say, oh, I'm with the XYZ conference. And then you can talk about their conference. If you say, have you stayed with us before? No, we're actually, it's our first time. Oh, great. Are you coming for a conference? And they're thinking, no, I don't want to be at no conference. I want to get away from work. I'm coming there with my wife or my husband for the getaway weekend, or I'm coming there with the kids. There's going to be a conference? People hear conference, they think packed elevators, they think loud people in the bar. So let's find out what's bringing you in, okay? But the most important question is this one right here. Once you click enter to search your reservation system, there's usually a pause while it's thinking. Use that time, and that is your prompt. That is your memory clicker to remind you, click, enter, search, hey, as I'm checking availability, are there any questions I can answer for you about our location, about amenities or services? And this opens the door for a conversation. Now, when you listen to real calls from real callers, about half the time they're like, no, I'm good, no questions. But believe me, they notice. they think, oh, that was different. A little bit later in the call, that same person says, you know what, what's your name again? It's Doug, right? Actually, I do have a question. And they start to ask opinions. Which room would you pick? I know what you're thinking. Actually, I picked the cheapest one, but it's your money. Go for the best. But if we engage them with questions, they shows our confidence to answer those questions. And now they say, actually, I do have a question. How's the food? Okay, or would you stay there? And that you hear this actually playing out in conversations when the reservation sales person sounds confident, and especially when they say, do you have questions? The callers have confidence too. And that person who was thinking about booking online will then say, oh, so you're right there on site, right? You know what? I'll book it with you. All right. So as I'm checking availability, any questions? Click, search, and you have time to talk to them. You will then find out, is it this woman here that is confused by reviews? Is it this woman here that is overwhelmed by choices? She has seen so many options at Expedia, Booking.com. She made her way to your website, and now she sees all those different room types and packages, or in the vacation rental business, all those different rental homes. Is it this gentleman right here? All he wants to do is get the best deal. Okay, he wants to make sure that he's rate double checking at that OTA perhaps. If we engage him, we can get him to book, or somebody that has no questions at all and they just want to call in their reservation. This seems to be the latest trend of calling and booking your travel plans while you're driving. Okay, so she's ready to book, we're ready to take it. Number 2 of my 4 tips for you, make sure that we allure and entice and do not simply read back what they already saw. Remember, your callers have already seen an overwhelming number of pictures before calling. Most websites today are very robust. You have photo galleries of the public areas, of the restaurants, and then for each room type, you have multiple views. If you're a resort, chances are you have even more. A lot of your websites have added video. Also, if you're, again, in the vacation rental business, you have a lot of different larger homes, or if you're a resort with multiple room categories like villas and cabins and chalets and cottages and whatnot, you have a lot of pictures. Beyond the pictures you have, there's all those pictures posted at TripAdvisor and elsewhere. I always check those out. Those are called the real traveler photos. Okay, they call our hotel ones the manager's photos, but people want to see the real traveler's photos. They're not so complimentary, by the way, not always. So don't just tell them what they already know. They saw all those pictures, but they actually looked at the real traveler photo, which didn't look so good. And now they say, what's this room like? And if you read back what your computer says, it's a 400 square foot bedroom with a full bathroom and a bed and a lamp and a coffee maker and an ironing board. Oh, yes, I have an ironing board. Almost every room has an ironing board, I believe. So don't read back the features they already know. Square footage, now some people want to know, what is the square footage? That's a good thing to mention. But if all you tell them is a 300 square foot room with a king size or 2 double beds, you just described every hotel room, most of the hotel rooms in your market, okay? So I don't think they're gonna be like, honey, guess what? I booked as a 300 square foot hotel room. Awesome! I don't think that's gonna make your partner too excited. So talk about what you're going to see, feel, and experience. Sell to the senses, not the intellect, all right? We call this using the visual storytelling approach. We want to sell to emotion, not intellect, all right? You can see her, she's like, oh, this sounds really good. I'm gonna have a great time. I can get away with my husband or my significant other. Or maybe she's like thinking, hey, I can do my girl's getaway without my husband and all my friends and without the kids. But we want to help them imagine what it is we're describing. And that's how we entice people, okay? We call this a storytelling approach. In our Quest training, we talk about find out what they're looking for and then tell the story of them enjoying that experience at your location. In summary, sell the emotion, not intellect. Okay. Intellect is square footage, number of beds, the actual list of amenities. Emotion is how you're going to feel. Okay. So again, we cover this in our regular webinars for the Track Pulse folks that are with me today. But if you're joining us from the outside, go to our website at Kennedy Training Network, and you will see videos on this. You know, I should also mention the Kennedy Training Network YouTube channel. We have a DVD we shot a few years ago. It's got some fun scenes that actually talk about these concepts right here. Is Yours Just a Hotel is one of them, where I tell some, I hope you'll find them funny stories at Kennedy Training Network YouTube channel. And then number 3, those online shoppers, okay? These are the ones that, and they don't always tell you, they just say, hello, I just got a question, what is your rate? All right, okay, thanks, bye. What we want to do is say, oh, do you have any questions for me? No, I'm actually just wanting to check the rate. Okay. And then a lot of times if you start a conversation, let's say, all right, well, I see the same rate online. Thank you. Don't just hang up and let them go. Say, oh, before I let you go, what website are you looking at? Okay, and then they're probably going to mention one of these, and you can say, oh, well, just to let you know, we always have the best rates here directly. I can secure that for you right now into our reservation system, or we can make a note of those special requests. I'll leave this up for a second in case you want to take a camera phone picture of verbiage. By the way, Jay will be sharing the recording of this for anyone who signed up. This is a really key point for our industry today. Online travel agencies, we love them, okay, because they bring us guests. Ideally, originally, they brought us a new guest that never would have found us. But when that person calls, we want to make them our guest, because if not, they're going to book through them. We don't even get their email address unless we ask for it at registration, okay? If we book them today, we make them our guests for the future. We have their email address, and we save a lot of money. Right now, if you're using, depending on OTAs, you're giving 10, 15, 20%, possibly more, flows out of the building, okay, right off the top. So out of $100, they take 20. That's all profit. They don't take 20% of payroll costs with them. They don't take 20% of the mortgage payment with them. They don't take 20% of the electrical bill or the taxes. They take it off the top. So what we want to do is make sure that we have these people that call, engage them in conversations, and say, hey, just to let you know, we always have the best rates directly. Let me go ahead and secure that for you right now. I can put you into the reservation system and note that special request that we just spoke of. May I have your last name? Okay. Chances are pretty good you'll get them. I actually hear a lot of callers saying, should I book it online or book it with you? And smart reservation agents know the correct answer. Oh, let's confirm that right now. Okay. But if you're not listening, managers, and you haven't trained your staff, I promise you what a lot are saying. Oh, whichever you prefer. Okay. How do we know that? We know that because KTN is in the mystery shopping business. When we sign up new clients that have not trained their staff, and we do the first time round of mystery shops, this is the things that we hear being said. All right. Finally, this I actually learned from my participants. You know, I love my job. I like doing webinars. I like the conference speaking I did on Monday with a group, Tuesday with a group of executive leaders. But I really love the frontline workshops, which is probably, I don't know, 80, 90% of what I do. When you have 5 or 10 agents in a room that do this full time. And every time I train them, I learn something new. Here's a tip I learned within the last year. A lot of people who call to reconfirm. Okay, I know I do this. If I book through a third party, I call prior to make sure they've got me. And you know, if I book through, these are the two I use the most, Expedia and Booking.com. And I will call the hotel just to make sure, okay? And then a lot of people are like, yeah, we got your reservation, you're all set. But what I learned from my participants, they actually engage them. They say, oh, yes, I have that. Oh, and I have you booked in that standard room. Did you see our other room types at all? Okay. By the way, when you were online, did you notice our other room types? Would you like me to go over those? And a lot of people are like, yeah. Or you could say something specific if you see they booked the traditional room. Oh yeah, I see you have the traditional room, Mr. Kennedy. You're all set for October the 12th. By the way, did you have a chance to notice our beachfront or beach view or mountain view or lake view or whatever city view room? Okay. No, I didn't really notice. Well, would you like me to cover that for you? Now, the reason is, today, when you look at these websites, something that's changed in recent years, they have the flex rate, okay? And I know what I do. I book the flex rate because you never know what happens, okay? I have kids, I have elderly family members, and so I like to have that flexibility to change. You know, we all have health issues that come up. Things happen in life, and for a little bit more, you get the option to cancel. Now, it didn't used to be that way with these. They had the prepaid advance purchase option still, but it's not that much more for the flex rate through these third parties. Going back to our conversation. Oh yeah, Mr. Kennedy, we have you all set for October 12th. Okay, but by the way, I see you booked a traditional room. Did you happen to notice our other options? No, what else do you have? Well, you know, for only $50 more, we can put you to the next category. Now, if they book the flex option, you know, you can tell them, hey, by the way, if you want to go back and cancel that, you know, and we can lock it in for you right now and put you right into our system, and you will get that view. And a lot of people, from what I hear from my participants that train me on this works. So not only do we convert that to a direct booking and save that 20% from flying out the door, but we also sell a higher rated room type. And guess what else? The guest has a better stay, and they're more likely to do a positive guest review. So I hope to have convinced you today that you really should be listening to what your reservation agents are saying. If you have Track Pulse, you probably know this because you're on the webinar, you're already doing this for sure. If you're from a call center, perhaps you have a call recording system. And of course, I encourage you to look at Track Pulse, which takes that to the next level, turning it into a lead. But if you're just new to the game, okay, check out that listen in feature that you can actually hear and put it on your agenda, block time. It is the storefront window. That's what invites, you know, the storefront window in the shopping mall gets you to come inside. The storefront window of our hotel is when people dial our number. And so there's nothing more important to hear what they're doing. If you don't have the camp on feature or you want to make it easy, send us an email. Actually, my address is in this slide here, Doug@Kennedy Training Network, and we will do mystery shopping. We will send you a link. You'll hear a call right there when you play it of what happens, what real callers are asking. It'll be our mystery shop, but you'll hear what your agents are saying. Well, thank you again. I hope to have brought value for you giving me 45 minutes of your busy day here. Whether you're the frontline reservation agents, shout out to you. Keep doing what you're doing. You have a huge impact. Or you're executive or a mid-level manager. I hope to have given you some good training tips to share with your staff to get more bookings from the Voice Reservations channel. Jay, I'll kick it back to you to close this out today.
Thank you very much, Doug. Another great webinar. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. If you have any questions or are interested in learning more about our resortsandlodges.com and Track Solutions, please contact us at marketing@resortsandlodges.com. Thank you, Doug.
All right. Great day, everybody.